In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, glory be to Jesus Christ. Slava Isusu Christu.
Слава навеки.
On this Sunday after Ascension, we have beautiful piece from the Gospel according to John, that prayer that Jesus is praying during the Last Supper. In that prayer, he includes everything that is really important. And today we see, we hear how important the disciples of Jesus are. We, his disciples, are important. He's praying for us. He's asking God the Father that he may keep us safe. Because the world we live in, not just in those times when Jesus was walking on earth, this world was difficult. In our times, it's even maybe more dangerous than back then. So we live in a world in which we constantly in need of protection. And there is a story in my childhood, maybe I told you that, maybe not, I hope you do not remember. My father, who was working in construction firm, actually in the office, but it was a stressful job. Every time when he came back home, when I was a little child, maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, he had a task to read for me a fairy tale before I fall asleep. We didn't have much books, we just have 2 fairy tale books, and I knew all those fairy tales already by heart, but there was a ritual that we should keep, so every time it was 1 or 2 fairy tales from those books he read to me. And now when I recall those fairy tales, they were pretty scary and actually, according to the modern standards of child psychology, damaging. But those were the original fairy tales from mountain regions, Казки Верховини, or there was another little but beautifully illustrated storybook called Kaletka. And I mentioned those books during a mission in Kropivnitsky about 3 years ago. And I told people that I'm really sorry I don't have those books anymore. They kind of got lost in the history of my life, but next day one lady brought one of those books back. She was about to throw it away, but then she heard my sermon and she decided to bring that book to me and make a present. And then I realized how horrible those fairy tales were. On our way back, I chose one of those fairy tales to read to my converts and sisters who were with me on the mission. And this was about son accidentally, not really accidentally, killing his mom, and then digging her for grave 3 times, killing a bunch of animals, scaring his older brother. I'm not really understand why this was done that way, but this was the fairy tale I grew up with. And then I thought, and those were just one of them. And actually, if you look on fairy tales that were written by Brother Grimm's, those brothers, they actually also took the fairy tales that were told by people in the area of Schwarzwald, Black Forest. They were also horrible. You have those beautiful films, for example, about Cinderella, but you do not remember that in the original fairy tale there was the toes were chopped off in order to fit in that shoe, and at the end I think they killed a bunch of people, that beautiful Cinderella with her prince. So those fairy tales were scary. Because the world they lived, those people lived, were scary, and many people were dying. So we have that picture of horrible world, and Jesus is praying for us that we may be saved in this world. And I can relate to that picture pretty much, because after my father finished to read the stories to me, scary stories, he told me that now he's going outside to scare Babai. Those of you who are not accustomed with Ukrainian folklore, Babai is something like boogeyman, but way more scary than boogeyman. This is essential evil Babai. And my father went out. We lived in an apartment building on the corner, on the first floor, actually on parterre. So he went out and I could see him, and I knew he was going just for a smoke, and I could see through the window the light of his cigarette, but I was safe. I had that feeling, and this was not just something I was telling myself, this was the reality. When I knew that my father is outside watching out for me, my mom is in house, in kitchen, preparing food for us for tomorrow, my sister is in next room studying, I knew this is the safe net for me. All the people who care for me are here. And even though everything has changed, my father is gone long ago, my mom lives in a different place, still praying and caring for me. My sister has other priorities now, but she's also a caring sister, and I'm not there anymore, being in the different parts of the world during my life. I know that this feeling, this reality of being safe and being saved, it's much with me as it was in the time of my childhood. Because God is giving us the same opportunity. Jesus is praying for us, staying, watching for us, being with us. Even more, He's telling us that in this world that is not maybe perfect or far from perfect, where so much troubles and suffering is present, we see His joy. Those people who stay with God, who are part of that safety net of God's presence, they have joy in this life. So, despite this horrible world that is even way more scary than fairy tales from my childhood, please remember that in this world, God's presence is strong. We just need to put ourselves in that presence of the Lord. Realize that He is with us, watching for us, being with us, that He is giving us joy. The last words of today, today conduct was that nobody has power over us except God. And God is loving Father. That power that He has is the power of joy. So let us on this Sunday after Ascension thank God that He is our Father, that He is watching for us, that we are His children, and He cares for every one of us. Слава Ісусу Христу!
Слава навіки!